Welcome everyone. It's What's Up Wednesday, the minimal version.
Sup, girl.
Guys, this is Jeff Kemp from Kemp PT in Waterloo. One of the reasons we brought Jeff in is because his viewpoint is, I think, a very healthy one, meaning that he's not going to tell everyone to go out and run barefoot, but he's also not going to tell everyone to go out and run in the Brooks Beast. And so we want to really kind of quiz the master here today, bring him in and talk about minimalism and see what's going on. So Born to Run comes out 5 years ago. You grab it, read the whole thing. What's the book really about?
About the possibilities of running with less on your feet.
Okay. Tom and I haven't read it because we're minimal. We don't even read. One thing that has been, I think, misconstrued is that the whole book was basically set up to tell people to run barefoot. So what did you take from it?
It makes you think that if all the right parts are working in the body, the foot, the ankle, the hips, that it's possible to do. Most runners that are running in traditional running shoes don't have the range of motion in the big toe joint, in the ankle joint, don't have the strength in the feet, and are usually compromised with their ability to balance on one leg.
I've seen some pictures of a baby's foot,
yes,
or a child's foot, and then what they showed us was a community or a society where they spend a lot of time barefoot,
yes,
and that baby foot would be able to be spread like your hand, yes, at birth, and at death, same thing. And then you take our feet at birth and at death, and we can't really do anything. And it's interesting to think about how much you use your hands and how well you can spread them and use them. So what we really want to talk about is that transition. And what you find if you talk about going minimal does not have to mean barefoot. Minimal can mean bringing the heel down. Minimal can mean making the shoe a little bit lighter. Minimal can mean opening the shoe up so your foot can work properly without being constricted in the front end.
Right.
And possibly be more flexible, all these things. And I think there's a space in there to try to educate people today on how do you do that.
So basically in that process that you just described, you're making your feet work harder and harder so they can adapt to that stress with the new shoe with less support.
That's what I work in. Is that good?
You need to have the ability to dorsiflex that big toe at least 30 degrees. You need to have the ability to dorsiflex the ankle at least 25 degrees.
How's that doing?
Not bad, but there's ways to test that.
But not good.
Right. But then you also want to be able to work the intrinsic muscles in the feet. You want to be able to coordinate that with work in the hips so that when that footfall occurs, that support phase of running, that leg is stable, the joints are aligned, they're as neutral as possible. You don't get the breakdown.
So, but with the feet, the goal is what you're talking about is to do some exercises where you start to be able to actually use your toes and move them around.
Absolutely.
So let's give the viewing audience a test. What do they do? Put their feet on the ground. What's the easiest test to see if their feet are strong?
A colleague of mine, Jay DeSherry, who's a physical therapist, came up with toe yoga, where the foot is on the floor, and the idea is to lift the big toe up while you press the 4 lesser toes down, and then reverse it and press the big toe down and lift the 4 toes up.
Why is the big toe so important?
Flexor hallucis brevis is a muscle in the arch of everybody's foot.
Hang on, let's say that again.
Flexor hallucis brevis. When we pronate in the foot, it's that arch that's dropping all the time.
Okay.
So orthotics, motion-controlled shoes, they try and support that, but the studies show that they really can't.
Okay.
But you work that muscle, which is the theory behind minimalism, is you get a chance to actually make those muscles in the feet work.
Okay.
That you start to develop that, and it helps to control that arch so that you're not pronating so much.
Okay.
The other technique that I use clinically is a technique developed by a physiotherapist from Czechoslovakia, Vladimir Janda, who developed or talked about the short foot, where you take the foot and you try and make it shorter. And it actually, compared to toe flexion exercises, which are kind of popular with a lot of individuals who run thinking that they're going to strengthen their feet, they actually don't recruit as many muscles in the foot as the short foot. And it actually puts that arch in place, and it keeps the ankle joint neutral. So you eliminate that pronation.
Okay.
I found this other study done at Harvard. They found studies suggest that at least 30% of runners get injured every year. They did find humans were able to run comfortably and safely when barefoot or in minimal footwear by, here's how, landing with a flat foot, so like a midfoot strike, or landing on the ball of the foot before bringing down the heel, so forefoot strike. They wanted to be clear that they were not saying shoes injure you and everyone should hop in barefoot, but they just had some statistics.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
So where that takes us is, how do people do this? What do they do? We want to see people take responsibility for their form, but if you're not going to, if you want to just put one foot in front of the other and get out there, don't hop into a minimal shoe. Right?
Right, absolutely. But you need to have the range of motion in the ankle and the big toe. You need to have the strength in the foot and the lower leg in order to attenuate those forces when you foot strike. You need to have the ability to balance. And it's a whole nother world when you get out of your traditional running shoes and you try and take it up with the minimalist shoes. You're going to have problems unless you do this
You got to do
first.
some homework.
Yep.
And the goal would be that you would see someone like Jeff at Kemp PT, or you would see someone at the local running store that you trust, and they can help you do this progression. But that progression, I'm sad to say, may be a 2 or 3 year progression. But in the end, you're healthy and you go into your 40s or your 50s being able to walk around the house barefoot.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially when you get old. There was a study done that showed elderly individuals have problems with balance, and their balance improved 50% just by getting them out of their shoes, just by having them go barefoot. Just do the work. It's well worth it because the injuries go away.
Do the work. You heard the man. How was that? That's pretty good, right?